Right, hello. So a public live stream today. Hopefully the microphone's working all right and the webcam's working right. So I was going to do this one as a charity stream because a few people asked me yesterday, could I do a charity stream? Because obviously, sadly, Sir Tom Moore died yesterday from coronavirus, who raised about £23 million, I think it was. Or was it even more than that? But it was an absurd amount of money he managed to raise for the NHS and sort of relevant sort of medical things. So I thought for this one I'd just pick sort of a it's not the NHS, but it's sort of some sort of medical charity thing to do with COVID. All right, Rich. Just because I thought if we're talking about somebody who was such a good bloke as him, we'd 33 million. Yeah, it was a lot, wasn't it, Mike? So I was listening to a news thing earlier, and they said what it was in dollars, and I think they said $45 million. That's why I was getting a bit confused. But right, okay, Nine. You don't have to donate if you don't want to, or you can't. But yeah, 33 million. So yeah, it was a lot, wasn't it? Because I put 20 quid on that back, like a month into when he was doing it, because I thought good on that bloke. So it's sad, isn't it? But he raised a lot of good money. He was a good bloke. But I was actually quite upset when I heard that yesterday, in all honesty. Like, when a lot of celebrities die, I could not give a shit. But when I heard he died, I was just generally quite sad about that. But he got to a good age, didn't he, 100? The only thing that really pissed me off is I saw there was a lot of people saying, like, oh, it's all a fake disease. He's a made-up bloke who, like, embezzled the money. It's like, oh, what fucking cunts they are. Anyway, so rest in peace to him. What a good bloke. Yeah, there was snow in some parts of the north of England and in Scotland, Julian, but not where I was. So I wasn't going to be cutting my hair tonight as well, just completely as a side, but now I can't find where the actual electric clippers are. So that's not happening tonight. I'm not going to let anybody spam the chat with weird shit tonight just because I think it's very disrespectful. I'm glad it turned up, Braden, all right? Yeah, we had some snow last week and the week before, I think it was, but we've not really had any other than that, even though the weather reports kept saying, oh, there might be snow, there might be snow. We had like 2 batches of snow, and the one... Yeah, they should definitely do something like that, shouldn't they, Mike? Just for the mods, obviously. If you can remove anybody being a fucking offensive dickhead tonight, just because, it's pretty sad, isn't it, when you've got people literally taking the piss. Is it, Thomas? Yeah, like I said, we generally, where I am in the UK, don't get much snow non-stop, regardless if it snows elsewhere. But that's annoying. Mario, sorry, or OSU. But yeah, it's, I think, the same thing with like YouTube memberships, that there's lots of countries where you just can't do it through Google. Yeah, Braden, you're right. Anyway. Yeah, it's just, I think it's quite different, isn't it? Like the kind of that sort of generation compared to our generation. The sad thing, though, was, I don't know if you heard this, he could have had the COVID vaccine, but the reason he didn't have the vaccine was because he was ill with something else at the time, so they didn't give him the vaccine, and then he just managed to catch corona. Right, okay, Nine, there's good and bad things in the UK. I'll get over the bad news first. We've got like a more infectious variant, and that's mutated again now. And we've had lots and lots of people catch it and lots of people dying recently. And we passed 100,000 deaths recently, so that's the bad news. The good news is, though, it seems we've passed the peak now, where cases are going down, and our vaccination campaign is going really well. So that's the good news. So it's going to get better, but we're in the roughest part of it, I think, now. If it's just with regular cheap masks, Joshua, it's not going to do anything. The only reason you'd ever double mask is maybe if you had a proper mask but with an output valve, and then you put a surgical mask over that to lower the chance of spittle coming out your exhale valve. But what are those then, Braden? I have to Google them. Oh, it's a benzo, is it? Ah, yeah. So it's a chill drug, basically. Yeah, although I had some weird fucking bloke following me earlier, Rush, and I haven't looked at the comments on that video yet, but I had some sketchy motherfucker following me for some of that. Yeah, Rich, well, we know how scummy, don't we, some of these people are that, say all this fucking shit about COVID. Oh, it's all made up. The vaccines give kids autism, or they put a microchip in you. All right, Dan, I'm not too bad. I've had an all right day today, in all honesty, but it's just, like I was saying, doing a charity stream just because of all the, COVID stuff at the moment. Yeah, that's a shame, OK9. I know a lot of countries in the EU, though, have had problems due to, like Germany and France fucking it up for everybody. But interestingly, Hungary, though, has bought vaccines from Russia rather than waiting for the EU to sort out vaccines. I need to put slow mode on, actually. Oh, thank you, Peter, because obviously that doesn't go to me today. This goes to, let's say it's International Medical Courts today, but it's basically just COVID relief. But I thought it'd be a good one to pick one that was for poorer countries. Like one where basically the, money goes to obviously things like Africa and parts of Asia, not like Western countries, because obviously people in developing countries are going to be more likely to die if they get COVID anyway, because they're already in a bad situation, So I'm all for sort of vaccination campaigns and medical relief for poorer countries. Right, let me see if I can turn slow mode on, just because I think this is going to be a bit of a spam stream so far. So all that means is basically if you're going to comment, there's going to be sort of a delay between how many comments you can make. But it does mean that we should get rid of the people who are just going to like spam weird shit nonstop. Google him, Radiac Maniac, and you'll find out very quickly. Right, I assume I'm still in frame, all right, because when I'm on the other YouTube thing, I think it's because they've made the picture. Yeah, it's just because they've not shrunk it down to frame properly in the live control room. So let me do live chat, and I'll enable slow mode. There we go. If you want a quick explanation, Radiac Maniac, he was a 100-year-old British World War II veteran that did sort of a charity thing in his garden for a bit of a laugh and to raise a little bit of money, and he ended up raising, what was it? Did we say 33 million pounds? But yeah, like, one of those very inspirational sort of old people sort of thing. And then sadly, he did die from coronavirus recently. Are you on Twitch tonight, Mike? Before I forget, just to double check, because if you're on Twitch, you'll definitely 32.7 million. Yeah, that's very impressive, isn't it? Because you think he did more to help a lot of the doctors than the government did, which is, it's a bit of a depressing thing. I mean, it's good. It's really good. I'm really pleased that he did that. But it does say something, doesn't it? When you are on Twitch, right? I'll definitely be on. So I don't know if there's much else to talk about other than coronavirus stuff and how it's going on in various people's countries. But right. Fuck's sake, we've already got the fucking retards on who don't know what coronavirus is. Right, I'm just going to answer this. The person's already blocked because they're being a disrespectful prick. But basically, if you basically have a coronavirus test, right, and you're proven positive to have coronavirus, yes, there's a chance that if you die within 28 days of something that's not COVID related, you might initially be marked down as COVID, but they've been looking into this, and it's apparently between 90 and 95% of people who are on that list. So let's say 95,000 people out of 100,000 have actually died of COVID. So, you know, I think it's very fucking disrespectful, all the people who are like, oh, no, these people haven't died of COVID, they just died of completely unrelated things. He's already gone, Dan. Don't bother responding to him. These videos like this are a magnet for the people who just don't want to follow any sort of science. Yeah, I do History of World War II, and it's one I'm selling, but it's being offered to members before anybody else. But obviously I've got no love of the fucking Nazi regime. So it's literally just something that's a rusty historical artifact. I'm not sure if it's on live chat or top chat for me, so let me just try and sort that out. Oh, it doesn't let me change it anymore, does it, on the current live stream interface, which is annoying. Well, the good thing is English animations is a lot. The worst of it in some regards is over, in the sense that we at least have vaccines now. So there's a vaccine rollout going on. But yeah, it's not going to be as simple as sadly just injecting people and that's the end of it. Well, Quinny, is it the right size mask for you to wear? Because it's a children's mask, isn't it, that one? So unless you've got a small child face or you're buying it for a child, otherwise it's not really going to be any use to you. Yeah, that's the thing, Braden, is obviously at the beginning of this, there were horrible scenes, weren't there, in New York and quite a lot of places where lots of places were just overwhelmed with, like, you know, the healthcare service just having way too many people flood into it. History of World War II, I don't have one that's specifically painted as an air raid siren, but I do have Brody helmets, which, you know, they were generally issued with. The only problem is, Quinny, if you're a child, it would be fine, but bear in mind it's 40mm GOST, not 40mm NATO. I'm going to try and make this stream not talking about gas masks, though, for the most of part of it. You know, just because it was more going to be talk about coronavirus and all stuff like that, but yeah, there's a good website if people want to look at it. I'll just get it up. It shows you basically how countries are doing around the world for COVID vaccines. So let's just get this up. So basically, yeah, if you look at this, we're actually doing all right in the UK because we've got to about 15% now. And they're finding that the first jab makes it very unlikely you'll at least die of COVID. I mean, Israel's doing really well. They're almost at 59% now. UAE is doing very well as well. But yeah, obviously it's quite good that despite all the things we did screw up as Britain, you know, it is good that at least we're getting the vaccines out. Yeah, I mean, it's the right thing to do, Peter, isn't it, to self-isolate if there's any risk of you having it. I'm sorry to hear that, Dan. But yeah, I mean, I don't know anybody personally that's died of it, but I've had relatives be quite ill with it. But luckily, they were, not vulnerable to it. So for them, it was like a really bad flu. But I do know people where if they got it, they'd most likely die. But thankfully, they're the people getting vaccinated on priority now. Most of them don't ask that, Braden. But yes, I do have a traffic warden hat. No, nobody in my family at all, as far as I'm aware, Daniel DJ. There's only one person I've ever met in person who denied it, and that was somebody where my dad was going, "Oh, look, here comes the nut job." And then as he walked past us, he spent like 20 minutes talking about how it was a made-up thing. And, he didn't go into Bill Gates' 5G and microchips, but he was verging on that. It was one of those things of, I know he said COVID was related to the flying saucers or something, so that gives you some idea of this bloke's mental capacity. Is she recovered all right? Then Nacho, or the Nacho, sorry. I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm hoping she's recovered all right. I'm assuming slow mode isn't working because I can still see some people spamming the comments. So let me have a look at the settings again and see if I can get it fixed. I hope she fully recovers, obviously, Nanacho, but yeah. Yeah, the thing I'm worried about inductive TK is if there's enough variants of it that keep spreading around that, you have to keep making new vaccines and eventually you'll run into a much nastier strain of it. But yeah, Peter, it was one of those people that was saying that, the government is in league with the aliens, that they try and cover up kind of people. Well, if you're on about Chinese citizens, it's to do with Hong Kong, because of the CCP basically cracking down on Hong Kong because of Britain's historical ties with Hong Kong due to the Opium War. Look that up if you don't know what it is. We basically have a responsibility to give people citizenship. How do I think America is handling COVID-19? Unfortunately, under Trump, not very well. At least Trump did put a lot of funding in for vaccine research and stuff like that. Obviously, Trump didn't help to begin with when he didn't really sort of, I don't think, take it as seriously as he should have done to begin with. That's pretty crazy. Do you know what model they are? Is it like literally an Israeli civilian style one that they're massively at marketing? Yeah, inductive TK. I find them interesting, but I wouldn't say, with no knowledge whatsoever, that the UFOs are in league with the government, and that's why coronavirus is fake. Because I was saying that's what this guy sort of was saying. You can try, but I don't think it will let you. But I could have a look on Myra's site if you like, quickly. Myra Safety. And let's see if we can ID which Papa unit it is. Products. I mean, they've got the baby coffin on there still. Wow. This is completely fake. CM2M kids gas mask. Well, it's not. It's just literally, it's the what's it called? It's the PDF2, and it says saved thousands of lives during a Chernobyl incident. It's a children's mask that wasn't massively issued at the time of the Chernobyl accident. Okay, Myra. Oh, here's another thing. Uses the same 40mm NATO filters as larger gas masks for interchangeability. It's a Soviet mask. No, it doesn't. Myra's so full of shit. I might be, Dan, but I won't say on here. Obviously, completely complying with COVID guidelines, blah, blah, blah. That's the earlier version of the PDF. I have got the PDF too somewhere. I saw it the other day when I was trying to find that M50 for Stug, but the later gen is the one that basically is a bit more like a GP7 but smaller. No, I don't own anywhere close to every gas mask history of World War II. Right, Jacob, just make sure you get the actual Polish MP5 and not a French ARFA. Daniel, bear in mind some of the COVID tests aren't very reliable. I mean, I can't comment on here which ones are reliable and which ones aren't. But I know, for example, certain strains of COVID can't get picked up by certain tests and other tests can pick them up. And I know, for example, there's been some tests that like lots of countries don't use now because I like the failure rate of the tests. I want to start reading the Myra stuff now, Quinny, in a Trump voice. The PDF2 is the only kid's mask. It's the only one, folks. Oh, you got the French one, then you've been scammed. See if you can get a refund if the seller literally said it was the Polish one, because it's not. Ah, that's good, Stug. I had another parcel that got to the UK a couple of days ago, but it's not got to my local postman yet. That sounds like a good deal. I like tractors. I wouldn't rely on it, you know, because of the age, but I'm assuming it's going to be a light anti-gas respirator, most likely. But £14 for a light anti-gas respirator is a good price. That's cool, Crazy Egg. Did you manage to get one at a good price? Because the FM12s have sort of gone silly in price now, haven't they? They have a habit of drying out, Jacob, and not being useful. I've done a video comparing the two masks. But basically, the French ones use some sort of weird plastic rather than rubber. So they dry out and essentially turn into brittle plastic, not, you know, rubber that fits your face. Anyway, I was going to look on the Myra site, wasn't I, before I got distracted for that Papa unit. I mean, they literally sell potassium iodide on there. And they sell that SOEX Geiger counter they stuck their name on for an extra $50. They sell a single filter for $90 each. My God. I'm just... Oh, God. Anyway, I'm going to stop looking at the Myra site before I get angry. I have no idea, Gustav, because I don't have that helmet. It'd be probably quite difficult considering the bulk of both the helmet and the mask. Good one, Peter, yeah. That would be good, wouldn't it, if you could get mobile internet no matter where you were, yeah. If you had the vaccine, but no. Yeah, but obviously, Nixon, it didn't originally come with a Swiss filter, did it? Somebody's just bundled it together when they sold it you. You know, that's weird, isn't it, Quinny? Because strangely enough, I think Israel makes children's masks in 40mm. Maybe I'm mistaken on that. You know, I'm sure Myra knows best. I'm sure a company selling overpriced Czech and Soviet surplus essentially isn't going to lie about anything to make sales. I don't have any World War I gas masks. That's the joke. Let me look that one up, Daniel. Scott AV 3000. Yeah, cool. Can you just get, though, there's a Scott mask that looks a lot like that anyway, which is in 40mm. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Is it Scott Clear Vision? Let me have a look. Right, it's not Scott Clear Vision. There's a mask that Scott make. Is it Scott Pro Mask? No, the Pro Mask is essentially the M98, isn't it? So it's not the M98 or the Pro Mask. What's it called? They do one that is essentially the one this Chinese one rips off. I'm trying to remember what it's called. But yeah, there's a Scott mask that looks like this, but obviously a lot better. I know Dearlove bought one, but I can't think of what the name of it is. But the Chinese rip-offs of them are actually all right. They're obviously not as good as the proper Scott ones, but for what they are, they're pretty good. Oh, it's Scott Vision, it's called. So it's not a Scott Clear Vision, it's just called a Scott Vision, right? So Scott Vision mask. So yeah, for the person who was looking for it, let me just link this one. Probably my C7's history of World War II. Anyway, that's the Scott Vision 2. And I'm sure you can see if you look at that mask I've just linked compared to this. Let's just see if I can get this open as an image. Oh, good, I can do it directly as an image. Right, if you look at that, basically, that's the Scott one, this one copies. So, yeah. Obviously, the real Scott version is a lot better than this Chinese one, but this Chinese one is still one of like the best cheapo masks you can get on like AliExpress and places. Sadly, I do not have any Soviet medkits. Even more sadly, I don't have any Soviet medkits with the original opioids in them, because that'd be even more fun. We'll see what time of year it is I get it, because obviously if I get to 100k and it's still during lockdown, it's going to be a bit limited what I can do for it. I don't think so, potato fish, but I can look it up. Unless it's just literally, you know, a mask that has different names. I'm not getting any results for that. There's the one coming up for my Finnish M39 in Google Images when I do it. There's an M34 coming out. There's a Viking Rubber Factory model M39. Is it that one? If it's that one, it looks a lot like sort of the German face pieces, but with like a 40mm bit at the front. Yeah, that's quite cool looking. Yeah. So the Model M34 Norwegian one is basically a Norwegian version, is it, of the German, what's it called? I'm trying to think of the name, like GM30, GM38 kind of thing. And then that's the I've done that before, Crazy Egg. There might be some truth to that, Quinny, because I know a lot of these like Russian factories carried on making some of the Soviet masks because they had all the tooling just essentially to sell them. I like Tractor. You're going to struggle now to get masks under £30 because, you know, Corona. Yeah, the thing is, inductive tea cake, for a lot of stuff, any sort of mask with a good particle filter on does protect you from a lot of stuff, doesn't it? Whether it be virus, bacteria, you know, fallout. But yeah, does anybody have anything they particularly want to talk about at the moment that isn't, you know, stupid conspiracy stuff? I don't think, Gustav, you're going to be able to reinforce a gas mask with Kevlar, you know, because a gas mask designed to be basically a good rubber fitting to your face to make an airtight seal. Kevlar is designed to basically be, you know, shrapnel resistant, bullet resistant. What's a repro or a repo, Nixon? Quite a while after Corona ACM, I'd think, because I think after Corona there's going to be more demand than there was before for masks. Right, okay, 9. My favourite conspiracy theory about Corona. I mean, my favourite common one is that Bill Gates injects you with a 5G microchip to control you using a 5G tower to make you vote Democrat for Joe Biden. I guess that was that conspiracy. I'm trying to think if I've heard any that are really weird about Corona. You know, other than the regular tinfoil hat shit. I already answered you. I like tracks. The answer is you're not going to get one for that price that's any good, really. Don't use the EO18 filter. It's the EO18K, isn't it? The filter that comes with it, like the big green one that looks like a GP5 filter on steroids. The thing is, Claire, he could be using goggles with it. It depends what he's using with it. I think people generally, Braden, on the far end of both, like the far end of, you know, with the political spectrum, people on the far left and the far right are generally as nuts as each other. I mean, you definitely would want goggles on with Fallout, just because beta radiation, you know, is going to cook your eyeballs otherwise. But yeah, obviously, the worst risk is eating it or inhaling it, which a half-face respirator will protect you against. But I mean, yeah, but that at that point, Claire, you're basically saying go for full CBRN protection, aren't you? And I'd agree, if you could do that, that would be best. But you know, a half-face mask with filters is going to give you a lot more protection than not simply owning a mask. So yeah, basically they're still buying ones produced. Well, technically, Quinny, if they are buying modern produced ones, they might be buying it that's actually in 40mm NATO. Because it's possible that one of the factories does just put a NATO thread on it. Because I've got a couple of modern Russian masks that are NATO threaded because they're export models. So it could be that that is an export model that's still being produced. But yeah, I could certainly think of better children's masks than that mask. There's nothing wrong with it. But, you know, if you compared that to the Israeli, like, 4A1 that's sized down for children, the Israeli youth mask, that's a hell of a lot better. I already just answered that. The answer is that gas mask prices will eventually go down, but not in a hurry because of coronavirus. Which mask is it, RGA Club? GP5. Considering current prices, that's not too bad. Because that's always been the kind of price they've been, you know, $15 to $30 for the full kit. Don't you think, Richard, he'd have had the better controller? What's the new Xbox called? Because the Xbox One was the one after the 360, wasn't it? What's the new Xbox called? Because you'd think Bill Gates would have his latest stuff, wouldn't you? Being like the big rich man behind Microsoft. That's a very good price for a Pascut vest, Joe. Series X, is it? So why doesn't Bill Gates control people with a Series X controller? Oh, I think I might actually have a mind control controller here. Let's have a look. I'm not sure if it's on the desk or in one of the drawers, but there it is. There we go. I'm controlling the people with the 5G chips in them. Oh, yeah, because it's bullshit, isn't it? I'm not really Ethan a prepper, but yeah, the point is you need to get stuff, don't you, ahead of time. It's kind of like if you were running out of food, you can't, get food when you've already run out, sort of thing. Right, see you if you're off, Catherine. That's not bad, Claire. Yeah, the Chinese strong masks are good, both the M50 and the M60 or whatever they're called. But yeah, they're both pretty good. Like, I've given my dad now the blue M60, and I've got the M50 with proper 3M filters on it. Yeah, the thermo did turn up. I don't think I've done a video on it, have I, Inductive Tea Cake? There's a good and bad bit with it. The good bit is it's a very nice meter that has a very, very loud alarm on it. If the alarm goes off, it's over 100 decibels, the alarm on it. The bad news is, without the really expensive thermo scanning software for it, you can't reset the dose on it or change the unit of measurement. So basically, once you've got a dose on it, you can't reset it because it's got proprietary fucking hardware and software for it to reset it. So all you can literally do is put a battery in and out of it and use it to measure your current active dose. You can't really use it as a dosimeter. You can use it as an actual dose rate meter, like what you're receiving at the current time. If they're not at physical risk, Joshua, then no, because there's people that will die if they catch COVID. People with learning difficulties aren't going to die if they catch COVID, in the sense of, they're not more clinically vulnerable to it. There's a big argument going on at the moment who should get priority, but at the moment, the simple answer is the people who are more likely to die if they catch COVID. That's just a very simple thing. It's when you get past all of the elderly and people with very vulnerable conditions, that's when those sort of arguments have to start. For the most part, American Gustav, because they have a lot more money to spend on it, but that doesn't mean every single piece of gear America's ever made or produced is top-notch quality. Yeah, it's good, Claire, because it does have that like plastic speech diaphragm on the front. Although I've still had people who go, "Oh, I can't hear you," but it is ACM. It is not obviously an official one because the official ones it's one of the Miltech ones. Yeah, but I've got some proper strict tarn shirts, like the actual field battle dress shirts. But this is just where Miltech do basically, a t-shirt in pretty much any camo you want. So I got the strict tarn one. And the nice thing is, like, the collars and all that are actually done to, the camo. So if you look at that bit of the collar there, like, obviously that's a brown one, where if you go for some of the other camos, that's a different color there. So it's a pretty nice t-shirt. It's a pretty comfy t-shirt. But yeah, I got it in strict tarn because I wanted a strict tarn one. At the moment, I'm borrowing a Gen 3 from Hype, so that's technically my best scope. But the best scope I actually own, and I'm not borrowing, is this one, which is the NNVT, or is it NVVT or NNVT? So this is a Gen 2 Plus. So this is a pretty damn good one, but if you didn't see the video on this, I got this cheaply through Hype because it's a factory reject tube, so it's got some blemishes on it. But in terms of like actual performance, it's really good. It's just it's got blemishes on the image, so it was a factory reject. Yeah, everybody will be vaccinated eventually, Joshua, unless they insist they don't want the vaccine. But the point is, at the moment, the only people getting the vaccine are basically the elderly and people with health conditions that will basically certainly die if they get COVID. He doesn't have an eBay page, Crazy Egg. You'll need to ask him on YouTube when he's on the stream what he might have available to sell. he'll just do it in a private sale to you. Or, you know, he might give you a Discord ID that you can contact him on, or like an email or whatever. But I just always chat through him through Discord or like, you know, YouTube basically. All right, Stug. It's worth trying, you know, but yeah. But like I said, IM 101s are definitely worth picking up if you get one in good condition for not silly prices. Because like I said, for an early Gen 2, the IM 101 is fantastic for what it is. But yeah, like I said, I think it's just one of those things that you're just going to have to spot one when somebody has one for sale. I have no idea, Gustav, because I've never seen one for sale, as far as I'm aware. That's Stalker Caller Pripyat inductive tea cake in that one. I think it's Jupiter Night, isn't it? That's the one I can always remember from Caller Pripyat, Jupiter Night. But yeah, originally I was going to do a video I was walking around and commenting on it, and then because I had some weirdo junkie start following me, I ended up just kind of doing a very different video of, like, you know, very quickly walking with a night vision on, you know, no torch on, to basically just get away from him. And then I ended up walking like 3 miles back through town, so I could stay in the street lights in case he tried anything. It's a very strange question, Chernobyl Man. I think sometimes they watch my videos, but I don't think they'd want to model me. What a weird question. Which type of masks are they? I don't know off the top of my head. Are they like rebreathers, regular gas masks? Sadly not, SGT. There's some Chinese ones that are actually all right, but they're not made very, in the sense of, you know, you can try and buy them, and you can sometimes get ones turn up that are like GOST to NATO, and sometimes they're just GOST to GOST or NATO to NATO. Oh, rebreathers. The only Soviet rebreathers I actually know of properly are the IP4, the IP4M, and the IP5. I've got an IP4 handy if you want to see it. We're definitely not talking about Corona anymore, are we? But there we go. This is an IP4 in its kit bag. So that's an IP4M, sorry. So the mask itself looks like this, if I get it out. I might have to undo a bit more of that stuff to get the... Right, so that's an IP4M, and this is a rebreather. So it's designed so, you know, air only goes to and back from the scrubber canister. Inductive tea cake, I think it's much more likely, as a lot of people have suggested, he was up to no good dealing substances in the neighborhood. I won't go full Fresh Prince, but, you know, it's one of those places, unfortunately, that's become a bit of a spot, I think, for people doing, you know, like either shooting up heroin or, you know, essentially like going to trade it. When you say how much does it last, you mean how long does it last when the scrubber unit's used? No idea. A lot of the scrubber unit stuff is going to depend on how fast are you breathing and what your lung capacity is. They will have a shelf life, Stuart. The official shelf life is over on the A4s. That's why they're on the surplus market. It would have been a 20-year life, I think, and that's why when they were produced in the 90s, they're now on the surplus market. But if you mean in practical reasons, they'll still be fine. It's just the official shelf life's over for them. Hello, Stefan. You all right? Or Stephen? However your name's pronounced, sorry. Oh, if you mean while using them, it really depends on how much you breathe. The environment won't make a difference with a rebreather because it's not filtering anything. It's essentially scrubbing your breath to recycle it. in a sense. So in terms of how long a rebreather lasts with you breathing in it, you'd have to look up a specific model of canister, and then there'll probably be like an estimate of how long they last for different sort of, like the more strenuous stuff you're doing. So if you're like sprinting around, they're not going to last as long. If you're just sitting in a chair not doing much, they're going to probably last quite a while. Yeah, they're very good masks, M1C Austin. I finally managed to re-find where I'd stored my Fushida the other day when I was looking for the M50 for Stug. So I dug it out, and yeah, I've now got it back. I won't go get it now, but I've got it over there now, so I know where it is. I don't know, Potato Fish. I'm really not the best person to ask for how much is a certain gas mask work. It all depends on what's the antique value of it, what's its current value with people desperate for masks due to Corona. Because, bear in mind, with lots of stuff like this, if nobody's willing to buy it, it doesn't matter what you're willing to sell it for, So if you put something on eBay and said, I want £500 for this, and nobody bought it, it's not worth that, is it really? Sadly, Pro Awesome at the moment, I can't really recommend much, just due to the fact that with COVID, as I've been saying before, there's not much that stays on the market for very long, reliably, at good prices. If somebody puts a mask up for good prices in bulk on eBay, I've noticed they seem to sell out very fast now, because, most people are charging silly money for them. And if there's, some sellers just want way too much for something. Oh, good. The Ring doorbell is working again properly. I don't know if you noticed, but the Ring, all the Ring stuff went down today. If you didn't hear earlier, ACM, somebody's taken my clippers. Well, not taken them. They've tidied them up, and I can't find them. And I'm not going to buy a new set of clippers, because I know as soon as I buy a new set, they'll turn up. So my hair won't get cut until they turn up, because even if I wanted to go pay for a haircut, you can't do that legally at the moment due to Corona. Which model of fault gas mask? If you mean the Swedish, like, Cold War ones, they'd have been okay, serviceable when they came out, but you wouldn't ever want to use one today. There we go, that's good. I was just having a look, but yeah, the Ring thing's working fine now. That's good. Yeah, don't use a Type 32, because obviously the contents of the filter are a bit questionable. Yeah, I already said that earlier, Claire. I think the military variant of it still is, you still can get brand new ones, because the military version, although it's called the F2, is, I think, called is it the Type 90 or something, or the Skidmask 90, something like that in Swedish service. So basically it's the mask Sweden's been using since 1990. So you can still get Swedish military ones that are basically brand new. But the issue is good luck finding one of those, or at least for a good price. Like saying, the F2A4 is a very good mask. But again, it depends what you want them for. Don't get scammed, though, because, yeah, a bit like Claire was saying, when I bought mine, the seller said they were all brand new, basically. And when I got mine, it was obviously 1994 or whenever it was, where that was when they all got retired from, I guess, their Cold War storage sort of thing, or, like end of Cold War storage sort of, stuff they produced. So I contacted the seller and said, I like the mask, but you can't say it's a brand new, just like produced mask in the last year if it's from 1994. And they offered me a full refund if I sent it back, or I think a partial refund of like half the money knocked off. So I just had half the money knocked off. But sadly, I've still seen loads and loads of sellers claiming they've got like brand new F2A4s. And again, I think basically whoever sold them to all the surplus stores basically lied to them, saying they were brand new, and lots of surplus stores didn't actually fact check that by looking at the date stamps on them. Yeah, they're pretty good masks, though. That's the thing. It's basically like a better version of the S10. Those. But anyway, I'll be off now. I will be on Weapon Collector's stream later. Thank you to anybody that donated to that charity thing on today's one. And let's obviously rest in peace to Tom. You fucking legend. And you know, I'm glad. I'm glad everybody else is all right at the moment. But you know, I don't really know. Just saying, you know, let's hope Corona slowly gets better, because at the moment everything is a bit shit, isn't it? But you know, as the vaccine rolls out, you know, in more countries, hopefully we'll get there eventually. All right, see you, Mike. Have a good evening, everybody. Yeah, good evening, goodbye, Auf Wiedersehen. Whatever goodbye is in various countries. See ya.